Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wall of Text with Sientir. Actually, it's VOD of Consciousness, but last time I said that I was going to talk about Acts 15. I would recommend the whole chapter. To summarize the wall of text in front of you, uh, Acts 15 deals with an issue that was brought up before the council of the early Christian leaders, basically. And the particular issue before them was dealing with, do Christians have to obey the law of Moses? So that's going to be stuff in Leviticus and Numbers and Deuteronomy and those early first 5 books of the Bible. Or don't they? So there were two kind of conflicting opinions. The first one, obviously, is they do, and the second, obviously, is they don't. Or at least I think it's kind of obvious. You may differ on your opinion. But the reason why there was contention over this particular issue was because it was a new religion, and it was born out of Judaism. That is, the first adherents were Jews. So the issue that eventually kind of came up, and it specifically gets referred to as circumcision, because circumcision was a big deal to the somebody should get rid of the disease on him. Disease spreads among like type things in this game mechanically. So anyway, so the issue, as you can see in this giant wall of text, I am certainly not going to read it aloud, was that there's a party, and they get called Judaizers, who believed that the new Christian believers had to obey the law of Moses. They had to obey all of those. They had to become circumcised. As you might guess, that is a bit of an inhibitance, because like we're talking about adults getting circumcised, and they weren't exactly thrilled about that idea. Go figure. And just in general, the proposal was not looked upon with a great deal of that sort of proposal was not looked upon with a great deal of favor. So making non-Christians obey those commands. This is not worth as much as that. So it came to a point where they had a big discussion about it. And as you can see, the general consensus was, well, God is basically demonstrating that he accepts the Gentiles without them having to go through any of the sort of Jewish religious rites or any sort of circumcision or any of that sort of stuff. So if God is accepting them, then who are we to put in additional barriers, right? We shouldn't be doing that. I think some of those ideas actually still kind of should apply today. But that's a topic for another time. Anyway, if you want to read the full chapter, I'll have... I just grab it off of Bible Gateway. I'll have it for you there. I'm going to take it off the screen once I finish this fight. Okay, fight finished. I'm grabbing my virtual alcohol. And let's clear this gigantic wall of text off of there for you. Okay, there we go. So this is a really important concept, and the Apostle Paul, he wrote a lot of the letters that we have that comprise many of what they're called books in the New Testament. And he writes extensively about this topic in a number of places, none more strongly than Galatians, where he goes so far as to say the people in support of making people basically have to be circumcised should just go the whole way and emasculate themselves. So anyway, he was clearly very fed up with the issue. And who can blame him, right? These people were making it hard for people to become Christians, and there's no reason for them to do so. So anyway, the kind of conclusion or summary is that Christians are not bound to obey the law. So Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, all of that sort of stuff. Now, elsewhere it says, because what's important is kind of the spirit behind the law. And hooray, it looks like we're almost to the zone we're trying to get to up here. And one of the things that's said is that to love the Lord your God with your whole, what is it like? Heart, mind, understanding. Like there's just a list of qualities. They're kind of different spots, but to love. Let's see this skill. To love God basically with all that you are, and to love your neighbor as yourself is a fulfillment of all of the law. So the command that Christians are to obey is both less specific, broader, and potentially more challenging to do, which is very much so. It's not worrying about these individual rules. It's about having the right spirit in the heart of God and that sort of thing, to love your neighbor as yourself. And your neighbor means everyone. And really the way that I'd kind of phrase that mentality, or that concept, is to acknowledge, love, and respect the shared humanity that we all have, right? The humanity that we all share. That sort of commonality that everyone has. Because that, in my mind, is sort of the heart of what's being gotten at there. I'm going to jump over here. That's right. I was thinking about changing my guild hall. I can't change the one here, and that's fine. This one needs to stay this guild hall. It's nostalgia reasons. But I actually kind of want to change the guild hall that I have for my specific guild rather than this one. A different one that is a different type of nostalgia. Let's see. Hunter's Ales. This is Hunter's Ales. Yes, let's get rid of those. Hard apple cider. Yes. Anytime I can kind of put stuff in the same bucket, as it were, I am happy. I should actually salvage that for the mat fibers. So I'm going to do some inventory management now. But just remember, if a Christian is like, people should be obeying this thing, you can be like, well, no, it's from the law. Are you sure? You know what you're talking about. Here's what. Read Acts 15. I was not expecting glittering dust from that, I'm going to be honest here. Wood is fine. How much does glittering dust sell for? Okay, so glittering dust. I'm just going to sell my excess glittering dust. I don't have a particular reason to hang on to it. And this jeweled chalice I can just sell as well. So I'm just going to do this little bit of inventory cleanup here. Just because I want to hang on to my stack of it. Stuff, by the way, stacks in this game of 250, I think, because it's a nice round number. And a byte, an unsigned byte, it's 8 bits, can store at maximum 255. It goes from 0 to 255, so it's 256 possible values, but some of those are less useful than others. But the point that I was getting at with that comment, I'm trying to find the rune trader, is that that sort of range of storage, I'm guessing Superior Command's not worth back, and it is not, and Stone Fist is Warrior. Stone Fist I could see. Okay, not really. Okay. So I'm going to merch that as well, because it's worth more to the merchant than it is salvage or anything else. So. Okay. Okay, this is weird. If I go to the map, I can leave Guild Hall with this button down here, but the other one, it can't from the guild menu. It's just a weird quirk of how it works. So I have a quest I'm going to turn in over here. And this guy right here, Vasily Lutgardus. He wants parts for musical instruments from various animals. And that freed up an inventory slot as well. Now there's actually a boss that I wanted to go capture this skill from. But I need to get more signets to capture. So I'm gonna need to go run to the Shinlai storage chest all the way up here. But anyway, yeah. I don't know. What was I talking about? How Paul argues that we're not bound to obey the stuff in Leviticus and Numbers and Deuteronomy and all that. That is what I was talking about. Here's my equipment requisitions stash. I'm storing those because they can be... Actually, I need that open. They can be traded to these quartermasters for goodies. A specific goodie... None of these goodies. Those aren't goodies. The specific goodie that I want... Well, superior ID kits are okay. But it's the superior salvage kits that I want to be able to just get copies of. Excuse me. So they have a bunch of uses, but they're slightly better for salvaging stuff than... So a regular salvage kit will just salvage stuff from it. This can salvage rare materials potentially, and they can also salvage out runes and stuff, whereas a normal salvage kit cannot. It will just destroy the item, whereas this can extract stuff from it. So I like being able to have a gigantic supply of those, and the Imperial accommodations and equipment requisitions are useful for those purposes. Let's become a destroyer. Ooh, I'm one of the Mesmer destroyers. Apparently Scholar Andrej I can turn in a quest for as well. So that's cool. So this allows me to go give stuff to a guy. I think I might take that quest because that would be a useful spot to go. If I want to go get an Assassin Elite skill. That's where the Melodic Gaki was, if you're wondering. Wardens on the March I should take. This is just kill a bunch of Wardens. The Beak of Darkness, sure, I'll grab that quest too. I don't know why I didn't have those quests, but whatever. I'm grabbing them now. And then I need to... I'm just going to withdraw like 5 plat and just buy a bunch of Signets of Capture. I am capturing skills! That sounds like fun. There we go. A bunch of skills captured. Gift of Health is not bad. In terms of healing skills, it's actually pretty good because it heals for a lot compared to the investment. So if you're going to have one by itself, it's pretty good. Realistically, I should probably actually get Spirit Bond. What does this do? Target foe takes 5 holy damage and plus 5 holy damage for each adrenaline skill that foe has. Well, that's an warrior skill and whatever. See, so the problem with Smiting Prayers is that a lot of its stuff is kind of mediocre because they didn't want to make monks too good at both damage and healing protection stuff. So the Smiting Prayer line needed to be rethought. Unfortunately, the people who would do it were pulled for working on Guild Wars 2 at some point and never given back, and that made me sad panda. So the next thing I want to do actually is there's a boss just near Cavalon that has a monk skill that I want to go capture. So we'll go ahead and round out this episode with that. Let's see. I usually don't do much stuff here in Cavalon because I usually... I've always just kind of played as a Kurzick. This is a design thing that I'll probably talk about whenever it is that I finally get to the review that I intend to do for this game, or retrospective, I think I've been calling it. Let's see. I think I have the map for this over... Yeah, okay. So it's kind of around... What would you call this? The north side of the hill? But the whole faction mechanic of factions, I think, was a very poor design decision for a number of reasons that I'll get into at a different point in time. Mostly, there's a lot of complaints that players had about factions when it came out. One of them was that it was felt very small. And I think part of it is because the design kind of cut out like 25% of the map for most standard play. Because you'd either pick to be Kurzick or Luxon, and the areas are not very friendly to you if you're not aligned with them. which is based, by the way, on how much faction you have. So I have more Kurzick faction than Luxon faction, therefore I'm a Kurzick. And so if I try to talk to merchants and stuff in Luxon areas, they're going to be like, no. And the other, I mean, I'm not going to get into it right now because it's just a whole discussion that's going to take way too long. I need this boss over this way. Just case a Storm Ray right over here. Very close. Very close. But anyway, there were a lot of issues with this campaign, and a lot of people called it the B team. It's actually kind of, to some extent, regarded how Dark Souls 2 is regarded by the Souls community. Or at least I feel like that's kind of the opinion that people generally had of it. It's fairly analogous. Soothing, I see. Yeah. Soothing makes adrenaline build slower. So for an adrenaline user like me, it is very annoying. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. I'm going to assess where I want to go, and next time we will start from whatever spot makes the most sense for doing what I want to do. So, maybe go capture some assassin elite skills. Anyway, until then, goodbye everyone. Take care.